All right. Hello, everyone. Happy Monday to you, and welcome to Four Piece Coaching. My name is Michael Damond. I am your positioning coach, and today will be the first day that we start covering the second P. I hope you really had a good time and learned some things about yourself and about purpose from the past 10 days. I want to thank all of our co-presenters, previous members who became speakers during the purpose phase for sharing their personal experiences with us. I hope all of that really helped people see the progression that people go through by participating in this coaching. But also want to make sure that you've picked up some things that are going to help you be very clear about who you are, where your value is as a business partner, and how you can use your purpose in order to build the business and the network that you want. So thank you for all of those who co-presented during the purpose phase. Today is our first day inside the second P called positioning. This is the one that I cover, and we'll be doing quite a bit. We always do quite a bit in positioning. I want to warn you ahead of time, do not allow some of the things that we cover that you may not be ready for to make you tune out. Okay. I promise you, you might hear things that you won't be able to apply and you may not connect to right away. But as you continue to come back to the positioning and keep coming to the four-piece coaching, this stuff will make sense. My whole goal over our 10 days is to really help you connect the dots to your purpose, but it also help you connect the dots to how you show up online and for your business and for the goals that you want to achieve. So today, I told you all at the beginning, just to have like a pen, pencil, notebook ready. I'm going to be doing some slides so that you can kind of follow along with the conversation. But we're going to be doing some thought work today, and then tomorrow we'll get into doing more kind of searches and giving you a little bit more of a demo. But I had to really think back to when I first started um, promoting myself online. I had to really think back to what my challenges were. And when I reflected on that, that's what brought me to today's topic. One of the things that was a struggle for me, which a lot of you might be able to relate to, is you have built a life up until this point based on career, friendships, relationships. People know you a certain way. And one of the things that I struggled with was the person who I was, at least that people knew, from my corporate background and my corporate experience and corporate face was a lot different from the reality of who I was in person and when people meet me. So oftentimes that was a barrier for me because I didn't know how to shift between to me, it's all one thing, but to those out there externally that I might be speaking to when I'm presenting on social media, people may not either have known me in that way or connected to me in that way. So it creates this like barrier. And most of the barrier, honestly, I would say was my own. We limit the way that we show up and express ourselves, which we have the right to do, but you may not be able to connect authentically with people because you're so worried about external perceptions and how people are going to see you. There is a way to find a balance between that, and it took me a little while to do so. So I think in order for you to be very, very effective in positioning, we need to start today by talking about what those things might be, and then talk about how you might be able to work through those things. So I'm going to share my slides with you. I want you to take note of this. I'm going to bring it up again. You don't have to unmute and you don't have to share at this point, but we will at some point during this positioning talk about this. So here's our whole framing for today. Sometimes your biggest positioning challenge isn't the people that you know, it's that they know an old version of you. Okay. So I want you to think about that for a second. Sometimes the biggest positioning challenge isn't the people you don't know. I'm sorry. It's that they know an old version of you. There we go. Sometimes your biggest positioning challenge isn't that people don't know you, it's that they know an old version of you. I had the word covered up. Okay. So what does that mean? What does that mean? I just talked about how we meet people at different seasons of our life. And as we learn new things, work on our personal development, read the books, go through the trainings, get the certifications and all these different suppliers, like all these things are shaping and creating a new person. And the struggle that I see a lot of people have, which is why they so heavily lean on just what they know through their personal connections, is that they don't know how to necessarily share or introduce or get people to know the person that they are today through all those developments. People don't always see and know the changes that you're going through because they don't have they're not you. They don't have access to that. So here we are showing up for 4Ps coaching, going through all these personal development things, having our aha moments, and we're changing in the process. But somebody that we may have met before has this old 10-year, 5-year high school, if it's family, maybe even childhood, all these reflections of who you are and what your capacity is. Who are you to be a business owner or to be an entrepreneur or to be coaching anybody or recruiting anybody to do anything? All these things for people who know us already, which most people are speaking to on a daily basis, all these things can make it difficult for us to see the growth that we want to see. So just because you've changed doesn't mean that everybody who you are communicating with and sharing with knows that and automatically are going to update their perception of you. So who they often remember is the former employee that they hired, the coworker, the friend, the teacher, the volunteer, all these things that you may have done or been at some point in your life. They don't know and can't necessarily understand the consultant part of you, the coach in you, the expert that you've been becoming, the business owner, the strategist, like all these different things that you have been working very hard on aren't things that your current audience is going to always understand and see in you. So the reason why I'm stressing this is because I know just from 15-minute consultations that I've done and working with some of you, a lot of you are still only using your personal Facebook profile as your main source of getting the word out about your business and what you do. And the people on the other side of that are people who typically fit into these categories on the left-hand side. Give me some hearts and some kind of reaction if you agree. So if this is your case and you have not been able to go beyond that audience just yet in order to start appealing to new people who are really going to see you for who you are today and to really tap into the purpose that you are leading with and want to be part of that, these are some of the things that you're most likely struggling with. So you cannot build your next chapter while constantly asking people from your previous chapter whether it makes sense. I thought this point was really was really like I could really relate to this part. And when it comes to positioning, we have to think about when we're doing positioning and when we're sharing our message and our purpose and putting this stuff out there, we're trying to get people to see us in a certain way. So if you are trying to get people to see you in a certain way so that they can say, yes, you are the business partner, or yes, you are the person I want to be my travel advisor, we need to be able to have a connection there. And if your audience is solely just those people who've come from your past and you're never really tapping into any new, fresh people, or even leveraging the audience that you have to get to referrals of people that they might know, it's going to be very difficult and it's going to be hard to build. So I'm sure a lot of people are experiencing that. So when we talk about purpose and when we talk about like the way that it fits into positioning, here are some of those elements of that. There's the message. Your message comes through text. Your message might come through video. Your message might come through an image of, all those things make up the message. So this is why it's really important to do the work that we did, the first part of purpose, or the 4 Ps coaching, so that you can get clear on what your message is. How can somebody find a connection into what you're doing and wanting to partner with you if you're not delivering a clear message? The other part, which all of us struggle with, me included, is repetition. So there's a reason why these companies that we watch commercials and they pay all these millions of dollars for Super Bowl and all that stuff, they know that a person needs to be exposed to a message probably at least a good 7, 8 times before they even like are paying attention and really listening to what it is that you say. So having a message that you are using repetitively, so that you can build up that repetition and gain that that perspective for people to see you in a certain way, the repetition is going to be really key to that. The last part of this is the evidence. You have a message, you're repeating it, but where is the success? Where is the proof that you do or are doing the things that you say that you are? Once you can work through these things and take people through this journey, you now have the ability to have a new association with them. They can start to see you outside of the thing that they've seen before. So I'm going to just speak from my personal experience of kind of what I'm going through now. I, for all these years, and continue to be focused on marketing. But one of the things that I've been challenging myself to do is to speak more about travel through the channels that I was talking about marketing before, working out different ways to kind of talk about them both and show people that I, being this, like, having this experience, have now brought my experience into the travel industry, and now I'm doing XYZ. So because I've been incorporating more travel content into the platforms where I have personal connections, past employers and coworkers and all of that stuff, it actually has led to me getting travel business. But had I not ever opened the door and continued to be like, oh, Carmen, I don't want to really mix up the two and I don't want to talk about travel because these people don't know me for that. She challenged me to really do that. And you've been seeing me use my marketing skills to create the reels and all those things to introduce that. Now, the fruit that that produced is one of my coworkers saw that, oh, Mike's doing travel. And I had some trust with him from back in the day, from our coworker days. And his wife was celebrating a birthday, and he wanted to go take them and some friends. They wanted to go do a trip to Mexico. So I was able to turn that post that prompted him to say, oh, yeah, I heard the message. I've seen it enough times to remember, oh, yeah, Mike does travel. Me posting and sharing my certifications that I'm earning and all that stuff was the evidence. All of that stuff led to what turned into a $15,000 booking because I did that. So I want a lot of you to start thinking about, like, the it's not to say that there's no value in the people that you previously had relationships with, but if you're not sharing a new message and a new story and kind of making the connection from how they knew you to how you want to be known and where you're going, you're not going to really be able to leverage that. Now, because of that booking, uh, two of the people from there was a total of six people, I believe, have already referred me. One of them said, hey, we had such a great time and we want you to book our family trip for next year. The other person referred me to their mom, who their mom and their dad are celebrating like a 70th birthday. And now they want to go to the place that the other clients went because they heard about how good of a time it was. So you can see how me getting over that whole, oh, I don't want to mix the two, I don't want to do blah, 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 has led to revenue in the travel side of the business. All right. So I wanted to share that so you can see how there's still value in your audience, but continue to be repetitive with them and get them to see you in the light that you want to be seen in. But make sure you're also doing things that lead to a new audience because there's going to be more people out there who want to work with you. And we'll talk about that over the 10 days. So this might look a little familiar because, positioning works kind of fits into the Ikigai. Remember Erica took us through that? I wanted to just kind of show you using that same visual how it all works. What I've lived, what life experiences have I lived, what things from my life experience can others relate to and connect to or might find some interest in? What I know, what have I learned? What am I certified in? What trainings have I done? What personal development? Who can I help? All these things are going to lend themselves to the positioning. All these things are going to fit into the message. So, making sure that you're clear and taking some time to really ponder like the life experiences that you have. I always tell people when I'm working with them, when we first started out, like, what has life prepared you to do well? We don't often see the value in the life experiences that we have. A lot of times, the life experiences that we have are something that we might carry as shameful. and we don't speak on them and we don't want to talk about them. Those things are something that millions of other people most likely share with you. And when you can find the appropriate way to wrap them into your message to talk about where you've been and where you are today, people will connect to that. I told you about how when I first started, and I didn't really, I found it very difficult to break outside of that whole corporate identity that I developed, and was worried about what my former coworkers and high school friends thought about me and all that stuff. And I had to break away from all that stuff. But because of that, it led to more opportunity. So let's talk a little bit about the next part. Expertise can be broad, positioning must be clear. So I can say I have expertise in marketing, right? That's very broad. That does not give a clear picture for the person who is seeing that message, to know like, okay, but how can you help me? If I was to reposition that in a way to attract an audience that I want, excuse me, I could say I have expertise in helping travel advisors attract more clients through social media using Facebook and Instagram. That becomes very clear on who I'm targeting at that point. So when I think about the message, you want to make sure that your message is really clear so that people can see themselves in it. All right. When someone hears your name a year from now, what do you want them to associate with you? Now, this is going to be part of your homework because tomorrow I want to have a few people think. Let's think a year out. You know, you're here at Four Piece Coaching, you working on your purpose and you working on your message. At the end of this, a year from now, what is it that you want people to associate with you? How do you want to be known? Because the work you do between now and that year, when that time comes, all of this work that you do in between is really can be used to shape that. All that those inputs and those things that you create can help build that association that you're looking for. So tomorrow I'm going to ask some people to kind of just share, you know, what is the vision that you have for yourself a year from now, so that we can then work backwards and talk about all the different ways that you can fill in the gap to get there. Now, here's one of the things that I really like. I usually joke around with some people that I know closely, and we just talk about we love stranger money, like stranger dollars. I love working with strangers, people who, you know, what happens when you attract strangers? That means that the message that I was delivering was very clear. They saw what they needed and developed the trust. I did the right work because I got somebody who I did not have any past experience with to see the value in what it is that I'm offering. So strangers don't know you, but strangers can be a good part of your business. All right. So that message and all that stuff is really going to be key in making sure that you're very clear. You know, they're not starting from the point of all these. I remember you did this back in school. I remember you said this to me. They don't have all those hangups that the people from your past always have. You know, you have to find a balance between the two. And strangers, when you are effective, strangers are going to be most likely the biggest part of your success. Um, I'm gonna hold on to that thought. I was about to say something, but I'm gonna hold on to that when we get into the visual demo. So let's look at old thinking and let's look at new thinking. Old thinking is people already know who I am, and the new thinking is I have to intentionally show up, show people who I am becoming. Um, this is, you ever heard of a paradigm shift? I've been reading The Seven Habits and I listened to, what's his name from Paradigm Shift? Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. I can't remember him, but he talks about the paradigm shift. And the paradigm shift is really when you like have held strong onto a certain vision and view and you see things one way, and then all of a sudden something clicks and you are opened up to a whole new perspective that you never really had. So that's really what we're working with when you think about old thinking. We need to help people break out of, not even out of, but beyond what they thought they knew about us. We need to be able to be very intentional on shaping the way that we want to be seen. People don't realize that you can do this. When we do the demo, remember when usually when I do it in previous sessions and I'll go online and I'll type in my name and type in keywords, like all the stuff that is shown there, I'm being very intentional on building. So if I want to be known as a travel advisor who specializes in a certain area of travel, then I need to be creating content that's going to tell the places that people are searching. this is who I am and this is what I do. And the more of that content that I'm able to put out, the more I can start shaping the narrative. People often think that online search results are they just happen to be that way. Believe me that there are people behind the scenes being very intentional, making sure they show up in that top third space of your screen so that they can be your first choice. And you do not have to be excluded from that. You can really take and shape that narrative the way that you want to when you know what to do in the right places. All right. So here are just a couple of prompts that as you're thinking about a year from now, what you want to be associated with, they're going to help you think through that. People who have known me for years probably see me as just a fill in the blank. And feel free to ask some people, like, hey, I'm doing this exercise and want to just get your thoughts. Like, how do you see me? What do you see me as? And see what people say. You will be surprised by the perceptions people have about you. And a lot of times they're actually better than you thought. But take the time and ask a few people that and see what kind of results you get. The perception is incomplete because they may not know that what is the thing that might be missing that no one mentioned or that you would like people to know, but they don't know and no one talked about that because that's going to help you figure out where do you fill in the gap to help shape that. And my experiences have prepared me to help people do what? One of the big things about purpose is that most of you had a serving message in your purpose. There was somebody on the other end of that purpose that you wanted to either help or be support of. So think about what that is. In this next chapter, I want to become known for what do you want to be known for? And the people I most want to reach are who are they? Okay. So in my travel example, in my marketing example, I talked about helping travel advisors use Facebook and Instagram to reach more people and build their business. That was very specific. I answered those questions about who I wanted to reach, what I want to be known for, just in that one statement. Okay. So here's just another one. And all these are meant to be, I'll put this in our group afterwards so you have access to it. You'll be able to think through. I'm giving you a lot of different ways to kind of think through this exercise. So I am someone who, through my experience with, I learned today, I use that to help. Okay. So I am someone who, what is it? What is it that you do? And through my experience with, like, what field of expertise is it in? What did you learn? And now, how are you using all that stuff together to help who? Who's the person that you're helping? All right. So if I discovered you online today, would, if I discovered you online today, what would you want me to know about you? And got a typo in there. That's our exercise for day one. I want to know what is it that you want me to know about you? All right. So let's pause for a minute. I've dumped a whole lot of information on you. I didn't do the traditional thing when we start diving into the tools in the Google search because I think it's important before you do that stuff, you're very clear going into that work about how you want to show up and then what's currently missing. All right. So we have about 5 minutes left. I can take any questions, any comments, any thoughts that people might have. Um, I know once I worked through this part, and I called it like my cold slap moment. I worked through this part because I realized how much of the things that I wanted to do was being held up by my own perception of how people perceived me. The best way to get over that is really to find out, take an audit basically of kind of what's already been known, and then what is it that you want so that you can fill the gap in to see where you need to spend your time and your energy. All right. So awesome. Thank you, Erica. We have a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. Great job as always. As far as positioning, so you talked about, I think, people who knew you before, like folks in high school, family, friends, all of those things, they don't know you as what you are today. And some of that shift takes a little bit of time to swallow, right?
Yes.
So, would you recommend, and I'll just throw a scenario out here, you see family members or close friends traveling and they're not booking their travel with you. Would you recommend, and if so, how, calling them out?
I live that constantly. I have cousins who travel, and I'm just like, dang, I didn't even know they were going there. You know what I mean? So that's a real thing. A couple things come to mind. I haven't done this yet, but your question will have me do that because I'm going to be seeing them soon, so I'm going to ask them. First part is one thing that always come to mind is I look at my other business in marketing and I think about who my clients have been. And if my business was solely dependent on my family and friends, I would not be in business. Number one. For whatever reason, that's historically what tends to be. Your biggest supporters aren't necessarily your biggest revenue is not going to come from them. But number two, to answer that question, would I call them out in a nice way? I would kind of just ask because I want to know. Like, when I see my cousins, I might even just send them a text after today and be like, "Hey, I got a question for y'all." I've been talking about travel, been in travel, and I'm just curious, like, what was your reason for booking your travel but not coming to me first? Just to find out, make it more inquisitive and not like you're trying to either shame or make them feel bad for not booking with you. Because you might learn something and be like, wow, like I had no clue. Here I was, thought I was doing a good job, communicating this or that. And you might find out something that you didn't know. So I would say if you can do it in a nice way, where you're just kind of like, I'm just, I want to find out, what the reason was. I would do it, especially if you have a relationship with them where you feel you can be open and honest like that. So it happens a lot. I swear I've seen people go to Africa. I've seen them on cruises. And I'm just like, I had no clue.
Thank you for
So
that.
great question. Yep. Any other thoughts, comments, or questions? We still have 2 minutes left.
Michael.
Hey, Toya.
Hey, I just wanted to say perception is everything. Michael worked very hard and did an excellent job on some messaging for me, but some people didn't even open it or read through it because they said, "Oh, I can't go on a long cruise." And the whole
Mhm.
point of the marketing we did was to say, "Hey, we're not doing the long ones this time. You can come. Can't you come for a week?" It was very
Mhm.
interesting at our class picnic. A lot of people said, "Oh," I said, "No, it's for short time." So I've got to figure out how to change that perception.
Yeah, I got an answer for you. All right. So number one is how many, you got to look at repetition in that case. How many times did you get the message out? Because you're known for being gone for months. So they know you for living on the cruise ship, and that's going to be a perception that's going to take time and repetition for them to understand that you not only can help people who want to do that, but you can also help people who want to do shorter cruises. So one of the things that I would recommend for you is reinforce that message. Now, I don't know if you're ready for it, but if let's say you made a video just to your friends and people on your network, like, hey, y'all, it's Toya. I know that y'all know me for doing this and doing that, but so many of you wanted to cruise with me in the past, but you couldn't go for a month and 30 days. So guess what? I have some 7 days, some short stay trips that I would love to invite you on. If you repeat that message to that audience of people to kind of drill it into their head to get them to know, like, oh yeah, it doesn't just have to be that, you'll probably see some different results from that. All right, Director
Thank you.
Benson.
That makes repetition is the missing point.
That's the part. Thank you.
Hey, great morning, everyone. How are you all doing?
Good. Great morning to you.
I have a quick question for you. I'm going to read something to you real quick. I received a text, and I'm going to do what you suggested. I'm going to go ahead and put that into to practice. I received a text from a classmate. And she said that she says, "Hey love, pray all is well. I no longer have a travel agent and need a quote for Taiwan in March 2027 connecting to the Philippines. Can you assist me?"
Okay.
Now, she knows I can assist her because like my first question when I read that might go was like, "Oh, why wasn't I your travel agent?" Like to begin with. Like
You felt the way.
yeah, I felt a little bit a little bit of kind of way, right?
Uh-huh.
Because here's the thing. She was with me, not I don't know if she did Planet, but I've been in the profession for 20 years. So this is like the fourth company. And she was with me in one of those companies and quit. So and she follows me on social media. So she knows. She knows. So I'm like, it like So I have typed in here, I'm gonna press send. I have get out your feelings. Because I always have a tendency, sometimes I have a tendency to get in my feelings, right? Like, why weren't you supporting me all along? And but that's not good for business, right? So we have to figure
Right.
out how to be emotionally intelligent and how we're gonna show up. But it's just funny. But I share this all the time, y'all, and I don't know if y'all are like me, but I share this all the time with people. When I first got started in the profession, it was not to necessarily book everybody's travel, just to be honest with you. It was to save on my own travel and allow my family and friends to go on my website and book their own travel. I wasn't going to do the curating of the travel, right?
Right.
And I was going to just make all kind of boatloads of money just booking my travel, saving on travel, my family friends traveling. But so every time, Michael, 20 years later, every time I see somebody on social media, which is a lot, I have a lot of, a lot of friends, they always, like, it's a really small amount of people that will do like her and reach out. Most people, they're just on their vacation, living their blessed life. And so, um, but God reminds me, as soon as I get in my feelings, He reminds me, you said 20 years ago, you were going to be your best customer. Watch what you say, right? Because I said I was going to be my best customer, whether anybody supported me or not. So when somebody doesn't support me, God dropped that back in my spirit. Remember what you said, right?
Yeah, here's your
And
chance.
it allows me to keep going. So I'll leave it there. I had another story to share I'll share this real quick. I know we're past the hour. I'll let y'all go. But I had a lady come up to me at church yesterday. Her cousin used to be in the business under another person on my team. So she came to me. She said, I need your help. I need your help at church. I said, what do you need? I knew she was getting married, so I knew where she was going. She was like, I need like a destination. I said, what you need is to buy your own business so you can earn commission off your own trip, off your own honeymoon. Oh, I don't want to do that. But I kept talking. Her fiance was standing right there. So he was getting it. So I'm having him come out to the meeting on Thursday and hear the presentation live. Because before I book your travel, I want you to buy your business and you can book your own travel. And we both win. So
Nice pivot. I like that. Thank you
thank
for
you.
sharing that story. Yeah, I think that story, there's a lot of lessons in that story. I was listening to it. So, it goes back to Erica's question too. And not everybody is in this business to book. I think many of us came in, thought it was going to be that easy. But that service element of being that go-to person so people can feel confident in what it is that they're booking and purchasing, there's value in that. And I often find it's not about the mechanics of the booking, but some people just feel a little bit more confident in their decision to spend thousands of dollars if they have somebody that they can lean on. Yep. Even though that they could do it on their own and all that other stuff. So, don't ignore her. Hopefully you give her a chance. Yep. Give her a chance. Um, Go ahead. I see you on mute.
Okay, so I know we're past work, but I did get back to her and I told her, hey, send me your email address. Uh, please send me your email address. I'll send you our customer information form to gather the details regarding what you need.
Awesome.
Then I sent a text to one of my top bookers
That's
who's
where I was going next.
me and said, hey, I have a Taiwan trip that somebody
Yep.
wants to take. You want it? So
Exactly.
get that customer information form. And they know each other because all three of us graduated together. So I'll let her know. I said, I'll do the warm handoff. Once I get the customer information form, I will send it over to you. And y'all can have that and you earn your 80%. I earn my 10.
Yes. Perfect. Great collaboration. All right. Thank you for that lesson and thank you for that note. Thank you all for being patient today to kind of listen in and for this message. We are past time, so for anyone who needs to go, feel free to jump off. I want to thank everyone for attending today. I see Wani, you have your hand up. I'll take one more question and then we will sign off.
No, I just want to add. I remember when Director Benson did that years ago when I first joined the business. When me and her were talking, and I got that from her years ago when I first joined 5 years ago to hand off, go and hand that off because I was very clear that I didn't want to book trips, and Director Benson was definitely doing Wall Street Blue. Me and her had a whole conversation. And I told her what my goals were, and she was like, "Oh, you want to be like me?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." And so I remember her sharing, doing that. And now I do have a top booker, director business. I do the same thing. Like I don't want to book nobody trip. I'm very clear. Ain't that right, AJ? I'm very clear on me not booking no trips.
That's awesome. And that's a great thing about the compensation plans that we have. The fact that you can still earn and build upon that. You can't do that in too many places. So that's awesome. All right, y'all. Just ponder the questions for today. I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Come willing to share and unmute and let me know what you've done so far. And I'll see you tomorrow for our next day of positioning.